When David Carter's garage was demolished by a homeowners association he didn't even belong to, it felt like the ultimate betrayal. Led by the ruthless and cunning Evelyn Reed, the HOA twisted rules and wielded power to crush David's dreams for their gain. But David wasn't one to back down. Armed with evidence and an unyielding spirit, he fought back, unraveling a web of corruption that shocked the community. What unfolded was a dramatic showdown that turned an act of injustice into a powerful stand for fairness, with a twist that will leave you speechless. David Carter, a retired Marine, had always lived by a code of honor. After years of service, he craved a quiet life where he could provide for his family and stay rooted in one place. When he found a modest plot of land on the edge of a peaceful suburban neighborhood, it seemed perfect. The area was serene, the neighbors appeared welcoming, and the location was ideal for the garage he planned to build for his auto repair business. David poured his heart into the project, his savings, his time, and every skill he'd mastered over the years. For weeks, the work was grueling but rewarding. Each nail driven and beam raised brought him closer to his dream of opening a business that would support his family and teach his kids the value of hard work. But trouble loomed. It started with Harold Benson, a senior resident and HOA member, who approached David one day as he unloaded supplies. "You're ruining the neighborhood's look," Harold snapped, eyeing the lumber and tools. David, caught off guard but polite, assured him the mess was temporary and the site would be tidy soon. Harold left with a grunt, but David sensed this wasn't the end. Days later, a formal letter arrived from the HOA, claiming David's garage violated community standards and demanding he remove all materials immediately. Confused, David double-checked his paperwork. His land wasn't under HOA jurisdiction, he'd made sure of that before buying. Brushing it off as a mistake, he organized the materials neatly to avoid conflict. But the letters kept coming, each more hostile, accusing him of disrupting the neighborhood's harmony. David felt the pressure mounting. The situation escalated when Evelyn Reed, the HOA's chairwoman, appeared at his property unannounced. Dressed impeccably, her cold eyes and sharp tone exuded authority. "Mr. Carter," she began, "your garage violates our regulations. Stop construction now and dismantle what's built." David's patience wore thin. "With respect, Ms. Reed, my land isn't part of your HOA. I have permits, and this is legal." Evelyn's gaze hardened. "You're wrong," she said icily. "This land falls under our rules. Comply, or we'll handle it." David stood firm. "This is my property, and no one tells me what to do here." Evelyn's lips twitched into a smirk. "We have ways of dealing with people like you," she said before striding away. David dismissed it as a bluff, unaware of the chaos she was about to unleash. One morning, a deafening rumble jolted David awake. Heart racing, he ran to the window and froze. A bulldozer loomed on his property, its engine roaring. Behind it stood Evelyn and several HOA members, their faces smug. David rushed outside, shouting, "What are you doing? This is my land." The bulldozer lurched forward, targeting his nearly finished garage. Evelyn stepped forward, arms crossed. "You ignored our warnings, Mr. Carter. Now we're resolving this." Fury surged through David. "You have no right! Stop this now!" He yelled at the operator, who hesitated but looked to Evelyn. She nodded, and with a sickening crash, the bulldozer tore into the garage's walls. David's wife, Sarah, stood at the door with their kids, her face pale. "Call the police!" David shouted. Officers arrived quickly, but their response crushed him. "This is a legal gray area," one said. "You'll need to settle it in court." David's voice shook with rage. "They're trespassing and destroying my property." But the officer shook his head. As the bulldozer reduced his dream to rubble, Evelyn watched with a faint smile. "This could have been avoided," she said before leaving. David knelt by the debris, his kids' sobs echoing behind him. Neighbors watched silently, some whispering, none intervening. The injustice burned, but a spark of defiance ignited within him. This wasn't over. David wasn't one to wallow. Determined to fight, he hired Thomas Grant, a tough property dispute lawyer. "This won't be easy," Thomas warned. "HOAs love red tape." David nodded. "I don't care how long it takes. They won't win." He spent nights gathering evidence, his deed, permits, and security footage showing the destruction. Thomas filed a lawsuit against the HOA for illegal property destruction and harassment. The HOA fought dirty, claiming David's garage violated zoning laws and portraying him as a defiant troublemaker. But David held his ground, attending every hearing, presenting every document, and facing every question with resolve. The courtroom became a battleground. Tensions peaked when Thomas uncovered financial records showing HOA funds were misused. Evelyn and her allies had siphoned money into personal accounts and used HOA resources for private ventures. Thomas's voice thundered in court. They didn't just want David's garage gone, they wanted his land to sell for profit, using their fake authority to enrich themselves. Gasps filled the room. Even the judge looked stunned. Evelyn's cool facade cracked, her face paling. Neighbors in the gallery, once silent, began to murmur. Many had faced fines or forced repairs under Evelyn's standards. Now they saw the truth, it was all a scheme. The revelation turned the tide. David's fight became a cause. Neighbors who'd stayed neutral now rallied behind him. "We're with you," one said, shaking his hand outside the courthouse. For the first time in months, David felt hope. The battle raged on, but the truth was out, and justice was close. After months of relentless hearings, the final day arrived. The courtroom buzzed with neighbors, reporters, and onlookers. David sat beside Thomas, heart pounding, as the judge delivered the verdict. The HOA was guilty. They were ordered to pay full restitution for the garage, plus compensation for emotional distress and legal fees, a staggering sum that rocked the community. Evelyn was removed from her position, and her misconduct was sent to law enforcement for investigation. Her smug confidence was gone, replaced by fear. David rebuilt his garage with the compensation, and this time, the community joined in. Neighbors offered skills, materials, and encouragement. The new garage, grander than before, opened with a ribbon-cutting ceremony, David's family cheering. It wasn't just a business, it was a symbol of resilience. But David's victory sparked more. His story spread through the news and social media, inspiring others to fight HOA abuses. People reached out, sharing their tales of oppression. David began speaking at community meetings, helping others navigate legal battles. His garage, dubbed the Freedom Garage, became a hub for solidarity. Years later, David's business thrived, but its true legacy was the movement it ignited. One person's stand had reshaped a community and beyond, proving that fighting for what's right can change everything. As David stood in his garage, surrounded by his family and neighbors, he felt pride, not just in his work, but in the justice he'd helped build. What do you think of David's fight? Have you faced an HOA or similar overreach? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And let's talk about Evelyn's tactics. Where do you stand on using power plays to control others? Drop your opinions, hit that like button, and subscribe for more gripping stories of justice.